I'm just excited for the opportunity to get out there and play against somebody new. And for my first NFL experience to be out there, I think it'll hit me when I'm out there. But right now it's just focused on how can I prepare and get ready for that opportunity.
Welcome back, Raider Nation, to Vegas Nation First and 10, your basically daily go-to for Raider news and analysis. Day 10, practice 10.
Are we still doing math?
We are. We're going to do this.
First of all, that was way too enthusiastic. So I feel like that was, right off the top, we're already jarred a little bit by the welcome back. But sure, we'll say day 10, practice 10.
It was practice 10, and we had a day off, so we all got a chance to rest up a little bit yesterday. So I'm a little fired up, I guess. Just a reminder, because Adam just threw me off.
I did. Called you out for the enthusiasm. Well, it though. It's good.
It's all good. I'm off that day off high here. Just want to remind everybody that Vegas Nation podcasts are brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports, and we thank them for their support. I'm Vinny Bonsignore, by the way. I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. To my left, usually on my right, but to my left is Adam Hill, my great friend and colleague with the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. He also covers the Raiders, and you just heard from Cam Miller. Who's Cam Miller? That's the Raiders' rookie quarterback from North Dakota State, and you probably should get used to him because you're probably going to see him a lot on Thursday when the Raiders open their preseason game, and we thought we'd share that sound with you because it is game week. The Raiders play their first preseason game of 2025 in Seattle on Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And oh, by the way, it's the homecoming for Pete Carroll, the new head coach of the Raiders, who spent a bunch of time in Seattle, winning Super Bowl championships or championship there, going to multiple Super Bowls in Seattle. And, of course, a homecoming as well for Geno Smith, who spent the last 4 or 5 years in Seattle, including the last 3 as their starter. So, Adam, we'll just start right there. It is game week. They do get on the field on Thursday. We're probably going to see a lot of Cam Miller because they're not going to play their starters very much, if at all. Exciting times, no doubt about it, for the players like Cam that are going to get on the field, but also for us to get our first chance to see the Raiders against somebody else in an actual game where there's going to be actual tackling.
Yeah, for sure. And, I've heard a lot of people ask the question to some players of, hey, what is it like to be a part of Geno and Pete's homecoming? There's a guy that's been left out, Jamal Adams, who I think may get some time in the game and probably
I would say so.
Probably would love to put on a little bit of a show back in Seattle. So that's another one I think that we've overlooked a little bit with this homecoming. But yeah, I mean, I think, look, it's game week. It's always exciting. And I think part of why we play that is just because, we're setting the stage that it is a game week, but also you can kind of tell in practice that it's a game week. A lot of reps for the ones today, so we'll get into how that kind of looked. It was a long practice as well as inside, which actually we'll start by pointing out worked out really well. For those that aren't in Vegas, the air quality is awful right now. There's a wildfire in California. All the smoke is over. We walked outside today to walk over to the indoor facility, and immediately I just said, man, thank goodness they're not practicing outside because it was scheduled. It's not like they moved it inside because of the smoke, but really enabled them to get really beneficial to get some work inside because outside I think might have wreaked a little bit of havoc on their lungs. And they're back outside tomorrow. Hopefully theirs is a little bit better.
As somebody who grew up in California and played youth football and high school football in California, this is a yearly thing basically there. And I had no idea until I moved to Las Vegas that all that smoke came to Las Vegas. So I spent many high school football practice this time of year and a little bit later on sometimes when the wildfires would start, unfortunately. And it was terrible there, but I didn't realize that it affected Las Vegas as well.
For sure. The air, it was very thick air for sure. So good for them to be able to get some work done inside today, and they did a lot of 11 on 11, a lot of team stuff. So we'll get into some of the observations from that, but. Game week could start to feel a little different. They obviously had the mock game on Saturday over at Allegiant, took a day off, practice today, they'll practice tomorrow, and then do a walkthrough Wednesday, and then off to Seattle for a game. So starting to feel like the season a little bit here.
Yeah, it is, and starting with what we saw today, number one, as Adam mentioned, it feels like they're getting geared up for a game. Many more reps. For Cam Miller, the third-team quarterback. Obviously, he's going to get some time, so they wanted to get that third group out on the field. I would say it's far more than we've seen them practicing this year or getting reps this year. There's also a lot of special teams. Special teams is going to be a big part of Thursday's game, whether it's the kickoff coverage, kickoff return, punt, all of those types of things. And
I will say, that's somebody who, like, I'm obviously obsessed with special teams. Don't judge what you see Thursday. I mean, watch like the tackling, the blocking, those sorts of things.
who gets downfield?
And who's on the field, like who's auditioning, that sort of thing. Pay attention to that, but don't watch like strategically in terms of kicks, because the new kickoff rule is going to make things very, very different. Tom McMahon told us the other day, not going to really show much. They're just going to kick it off, tackle, block, and those sorts of things. But schematically, they won't show it. So don't judge what you see. I will say that for the most part, we've seen Daniel Carlson kicking off a certain way. Today, we saw him kick off. I thought it was more what I think they're going to use during the season today.
During the season today, yes.
Yeah. But I don't think they're going to do that Thursday. So I think that was more, hey, I'm starting to work on some things for the season. Probably not going to show that Thursday, but this is a work in progress, and it's going to be very, very fascinating this year. For those, I think there might be some people that say, "Oh, you said that last year. You said that last year."
Big difference.
People did say it last year, but we also said if you listen to us here, that it wasn't going to change much because it was at the 30-yard line. Now it's at the 35 for a touchback. Teams are going to have to cover those kicks. They're not going to give up the 35-yard line. So there is going to be a major change this year in terms of how many kickoff returns you see.
Yeah, and to Adam's point, I remember talking to some people in the organization and across the NFL. They were going to give it a couple of weeks to crunch the numbers and figure out what's the difference if we kick off to a returner or kick it out of the end zone. And as it turns out, whether you kicked it off to somebody or kicked it out of the end zone, it was basically getting stopped right between the 25 and 30, and teams that were kicking the ball off decided, why risk it? If we're going to be giving up the ball, if that's what the possession's generally going to be, then why risk injury? Why risk a penalty? Or why risk a major break for a touchdown? Just go ahead and kick it out of the end zone, give it to them at the 30-yard line. Now at the 35, that changes the game because every statistic will show you, Adam, that offenses that line the ball up at the 35-yard line score points at a higher rate.
Points per drive go up significantly from the 30 to the 35, especially from the 25 to the 35. But definitely, I think you will see a lot more returns. In fact, Tom McMahon said he thinks it'll be pretty much 100%. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think some teams, especially in certain situations, will just say, take it at the 35. But there will be a lot of kickoff returns, which also means it's much more important who's on those teams.
Right.
You're going to have a lot more guys that are impact players, that are making tackles, that are blocking, because those are opportunities to create big plays and they're opportunities to stop big plays from happening. So I just think the special teams will be very, very intriguing this year. So maybe something even more to watch going into this game.
And, as Adam mentioned, you're probably not going to see the strategic kicks that they're working on that we've seen them working on in practice. And I think that's a good idea. Here's why. I think that the more you can get practice as a kickoff coverage team, being able to go down there and make the tackles, because you're not even as strategic as they're going to try to be. There's going to be times where the kicker doesn't execute correctly, and there's going to be a return, and you need to know that you've got guys that are going to be able to get down there and tackle. So let's say the Raiders score 4 touchdowns in this game, all right? That's 4 opportunities, plus whether they kick off at the halftime or to start the game. That's 5 opportunities to get a look at guys covering the kick. And it's also beneficial for the other side if you're hoping that if you're the Raiders, they kick it to you basically, so that you can line up your blocking and all those types of things and get a good sense of all that as well.
And also, you just don't want teams to know what you want to do. Like, you don't want to show
you
your
don't
hand.
want to do that part of it.
That's part of it too.
Right.
So for all those reasons, I'm excited to watch how the kickoffs go. Again, not for strategy reasons, but more for who's on the teams, how do they execute, just the simple blocking and tackling, because it really is just a regular play now.
Yeah, for sure. You think somebody's going to try to kick a onside kick just to practice it?
Well, I mean, you have to declare it.
So. Well, yeah.
Not everybody knows that.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Or why? For that reason.
I don't think. I think you'll. Again, there's only so many onside kicks you have in your toolbox as a team.
Don't show it.
There's no reason to show one.
Yeah, don't show it.
Yeah.
All right. So other observations from today's practice, which is Monday after the off day. The daily the daily observation of who started where along the offensive line. Obviously, Jordan Meredith has basically taken control of the center job. No more rotation at center for the second straight practice, if you count Saturday's scrimmage as a practice, and we are going to do that. Yeah. The starting right guard was Jackson Powers Johnson, so that's 2 straight days that he's gotten the nod at right tackle over Alex at right guard over Alex Kappa, which leads you to believe that maybe he's taken a little bit of a lead in terms of winning that job. And I didn't see Alex Kappa at all with the starters today.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a little bit further validation that maybe Jackson Powers Johnson is nudging ahead on that.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like it's kind of the trend that they're going toward. Whether that is where they are by week 1 or not, we'll find out. Also, we'll see how that
What do you do
rotation
with Alex
continues
Kappa
to
if
develop.
Jackson Powers Johnson wins that job, which I think he's going to win the job?
Yeah, I mean, we have talked about this. I think it depends how many offensive linemen you're keeping. That's what we kind of discussed this last week. I think I said at the time they might only keep 8. If they kept 8, I'd probably cut him.
Yeah.
If they keep 9, I think he would be the 9th
Right.
guy that I would keep for the most part. And most likely the way I've kind of looked back since then I look back at some of Pete Carroll's roster constructions in the past, 9 tends to be the thing. Although, if you have 8, the 8 that they're going to have, especially the 3 backups, pretty versatile, where they can kind of play anywhere. So that could impact the decision a little bit. But I do think they'll probably trend toward going with 9, and that, to me, would be Alex Kappa, unless somebody is jumping out that we don't know at this point. We haven't really seen anybody do that. But if there's kind of an unknown, and I think there's a couple positions where there's guys that maybe are under the radar a little bit that might be surprises to make the team. And
There will be.
And maybe if you want to keep somebody somewhere else, like if you have somebody you want to keep for special teams purposes, like you said, special teams are so important, even more so than usual right now. So that could impact it a little bit as well.
For sure. All right. On the other side of the ball, real quickly, obviously the unfortunate injury to Lonnie Johnson on Saturday over at the scrimmage. They haven't made it official that he's done for the year, but he's going to be out for a long time. I would,
I think they'll be operating as if he's done for the year.
Right, exactly. But you have to make it. Actually, let's stay there real quick. It behooves them to find that out really quickly, and I think the big key is does he need surgery or not? If he needs surgery, he's out for the year. If it's a non-surgery broken fibula, then there is a path, but it'll be 12 weeks, let's just say, down the line, about week 8 of the season or so.
Well, they'll have to decide by
training
shutdown day.
Yeah, because if you believe that he can play a little bit for you and want to go down that road, then you have to keep him on the 53-man roster on cut down day, then retroactive. Then after that, put him on IR. And the risk in doing that is that you might have to cut somebody that you like that gets claimed elsewhere, somebody that you were hoping would go through waivers, and you bring him right back to replace Lonnie, who you would put on injured reserve, post the 53-man roster cut. But that's a story for another day. While he is out, obviously, so who filled his role as the backup safety? Really, we say backup safety, but he's really a starter in a lot of ways because
it's a de facto starter because he'd be in a lot of sub packages for sure, being nickel.
He's a regular.
Yeah, Lonnie Johnson was getting a lot the reps with the first team.
He was getting basically all of them.
And so there is that position open now. And today was Chris Smith for the most part that was filling in there. Obviously a guy that's been around a couple of years and
over Georgia.
Was a very, very good college player. Hasn't quite translated at this level, but somebody who certainly has a lot of talent, has been a part of some really, really good defenses, especially in college. So that's a situation to monitor for sure. But it wasn't just him. There was other guys kind of filling in.
Thomas Harper got some run in there. They also did some strategic things differently. They brought in Jamal Adams as well. So when they went to a nickel look, at times it was Christopher Smith that came in, and at other times it was Jamal Adams, and they just backed Jeremy Chin back up to his safety spot. So they're tinkering right now on that. We'll see how that all plays out. There's always the opportunity for them to go. And this is a really important time for Christopher Smith. Let's face it. And Thomas Harper, for that matter. They could state their case. You don't have to go outside the building. Yeah. We got it covered right here, but it's on them to prove that.
Yeah, and also I think it's important. Like, the reason we're discussing this is because Lonnie Johnson was playing a pretty significant role.
Sure.
I saw some people that weren't quite sure, kind of saying, like, well, how much was he really involved? How much was he part of the plans? Pretty significantly.
A lot.
He was actually getting a lot of runs. So I think it was a pretty damaging injury for the defense, and it's a role, they're going to have to find somebody to fill in there. And as I said, they're trying some different things right now. We'll see what they end up settling on, and potentially they might decide, hey, we do have to go outside the building.
Yeah.
We do have to go find somebody. And whether that's right now or whether that's, cut down day, somebody gets released that they can kind of bring in. We've seen them. They're not scared. They made, four more transactions this week. So,
Right.
we know that's what Pete Carroll loves to do, especially in his first year in new places. So I think they'll be willing to do it, but they're trying to find some options in-house right now.
You might ask yourself, well, why did they make some of the cuts that they made? Look, you've got now 2 weeks of training camp basically, and a scrimmage to really look at film and watch film. And nothing against the guys that they moved out, but obviously they weren't showing them enough. Yeah. Sometimes it's as simple as they weren't getting the playbook, and they were making too many mistakes out there, and need to get that fixed. So. That's a lot of sometimes what goes on in terms of those types of moves at this time of year. Any other thoughts? It was a good day for the defense today. They really kind of got after it. There was some red zone work that I thought the defense really showed up. There was a great catch by Brock Bowers. Why don't you talk about that catch?
Yeah, just a one-on-one kind of throw it to the corner of the end zone,
over
back
Eric
shoulder.
Stokes.
Over Stokes, there was a starter that was in there, one versus one, and they
he
lined
did a
up.
great job actually in coverage.
Yeah, he was right there, and kind of similar to what we saw in the scrimmage, kind of the same play. Just throw it up and give Brock Bowers a chance to make a play, and he did, and that was good. And I think there's a couple other things, and then there's also one big thing that's happening today that everybody is going to freak out about, and it's not really that big of a deal. We'll talk about that next.
So if you haven't had a chance to get the app yet, again, we still have the $50 no-worry wager available. What a great time to get in the summer, get yourself familiar with the app. The auto racing, horse racing, the golf,
women's softball,
the MMA. Whatever you're interested in, check out the STN Sports app.
Well, that was such a great tease that I don't even know what Adam Hill is teasing about. So I'm very curious. What are people going to get fired up about or freaked out about that you don't think is a big deal?
So it is game week, as we mentioned.
It is.
Depth chart comes out today.
Oh, that's right.
The official depth chart for the Raiders, and people will freak out. We'll write about it. You can read about it, and there'll be there's some interesting things that are going to be on there for sure that we'll see.
Maybe some message sending.
Maybe some message sending. You never know. I know another coach, Mike McDaniel, was talking about it this morning and said, I just count the number, make sure there's enough guys on there, make sure everybody's listed at least once. But there is an opportunity, as you said. You send a message, or there is, guys that are winning battles. Like there is a whole bunch of different things that are there.
It's Pete Carroll. He doesn't miss any opportunity.
Sure. Does that mean that's who's going to start week one? No. It doesn't even mean that they're going to start week two. Like the joint practices when they go 1 versus 1 doesn't mean they're going to be the guy. But we'll get some.
Let me ask you this.
Intel from it.
Let me ask you this. Between now, barring injuries. Between now and the opening of the season in New England, how many differences do you think we're going to see in terms of the starters that we've been seeing consistently? I think it's very few, but go ahead.
Let's see. I would say
based on just today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there could be injuries, and that could impact it. I think there's certainly one corner spot open. Mm-hmm. We talked about the nickel position, which is de facto a starter,
right?
For sure. We aren't still sure on center and guard on the offense,
right?
I still think there's potentially the wide receiver room could change. I
would have said that 3 weeks ago, but to me, Trey Tucker has shown so much growth and reliability and. In terms of the usage, things that they're asking him to do, that I'm not so sure about that anymore. And that's nothing against Jack Best. Jack Best made a nice catch today on a one-on-one, a very competitive one-on-one, where he just out-muscled the guy and made a great one-handed catch, or kind of one-armed catch. But I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to wonder about that.
Then I'm trying to, let's see. Yeah, I mean,
not that many.
Yeah, I mean, I assume they're going to list both tight ends as starters.
Yeah.
So they'll, and we'll see how it all. There are some things I think still to play out. But you're right. Defensive line, I mean, I think seems pretty set to me.
I do too.
With
linebackers,
with Malcolm and Max on the ends, and Jonah and Adam Butler on the inside, like that seems pretty set. It's been pretty much the same every day.
I think that's going to be. I think the offense already catch up. I think the offensive line we saw today is going to be the offensive line that starts the season.
If I had to make a bet, I'd say that probably is the case. But like I said, one corner is certainly up for grabs.
It's more, and look, Darnay Holmes. When they've played the second team defense, he's always been the slot corner. They do things a little bit differently when they bring in the entire second team defense. He's the slot cornerback. So you never know. Like when it gets right down to it, maybe that's how they'll roll. I don't think that they will, but you never know. Maybe he's the guy that comes on the field with the first.
By the way,
pick.
like Tyree's kind of a de facto starter too,
Yeah.
because he'll be on the inside anytime it's
Passing.
second and long, third and long. If it's an obvious passing situation, he's kind of the starter at defensive tackle. So I mean, like there are guys that are going to get a lot of playing time that aren't necessarily going to be starters, quote unquote. Depends on what what grouping they're going with, but. I don't think there's a whole lot of spots necessarily quote unquote up for grabs. Even though Pete Carroll says everything's up for grabs all the time, everything's a competition. Seems pretty set at most of the spots right now.
I agree. When we get back, we're going to hear from, when we get back, we're going to hear from another rookie who's also making his NFL debut. In addition to that, he's making quite the change in terms of his position going from college to the NFL. We'll hear about that in just 1 second.
This one's for the Vegas locals and Vegas locals only. STN Sports is the sports betting experience built for you. From the app to the 19 convenient locations across the valley to sign up, bet, and watch your favorite games. And with a massive betting menu and daily odds boost, there are tons of ways to get in the action. Sign up today.
It's a daunting task, and I knew that going into it. And I'm just, so incredibly blessed to have this opportunity. I think I'm working with the absolute best in the world and working against them. And so every single day, just iron sharpens iron. And, it's just a daily process of improvement. I was talking, Jacoby is just such a great mentor for me right now. We have completely different skill sets, I believe. But he's just, so detailed in his craft. And so, he pulls me aside every once in a while, gives me some ideas to work on, because he sees everything. He's a professional through and through every aspect of how he goes about his business. And so, he pulled me aside, talked to me about, something to improve on for the day. And, it's been very helpful. But just the organization as a whole, from coaches to the defense to the other offensive players and everybody working with me, it's been an absolute honor to pursue that. But yes, it is absolutely a great process, and trying to go after it day after day.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation First and 10. I'm Vinny Bonsignore, joined by my colleague Adam Hill. And you just heard from Tommy Mellott, the rookie from Montana State who played quarterback at Montana State. Now he's making the switch to wide receiver.
So he might be playing in the Little League World Series right now. He's like 12 years old.
He is, but he's very mature.
For sure.
So is
No
Cam
question.
Miller.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Both of them were kind of babyface. Him in particular. I'll say this. Can you imagine, like, just put yourself in his shoes. Like, you're in your first NFL camp. Your head's spinning. No matter how much you try to play it off, that is Max Crosby over there. That is Geno Smith, as the quarterback. I'm kind of awestruck a little bit. I'm trying to make a team. And, oh, by the way, I'm making a massive positional change from quarterback to wide receiver. I'm learning the playbook from the wide receiver's perspective. I'm learning the technical aspects of playing wide receiver. You just talked about it right there. Man, that's a lot on somebody's plate.
It is, no question. I mean, it's hard enough to make a jump from college to the pros. If you're an SEC or a Big Ten player.
Exactly.
Right?
Many haven't.
You're making the jump from, 1AA, FCS, it
yes,
is now.
right.
You're making the jump from FCS to NFL. Another huge leap that you have to make in terms of just the talent around you, the speed around you, the size of guys, everything else. That's a big jump. But you're also learning to play a new position, especially that much of a, it's not like you're going from safety to corner, that's a really tough switch too. Or
guard to center.
Yeah, guard, like those are very difficult as well. Like to go from quarterback to wide receiver and to learn just the footwork. I mean, just learning the position is hard enough to also prove yourself. We see guys whose heads are swimming all the time trying to make that switch. And he's trying to do all those different things at once, which man, it's got to be difficult. And he said he knew it was going to be daunting, and it has been. And there's no question. You see days out there where it's a tough go for him for sure. Then you see other days where like, okay, he's figuring it out, he's picking it up. So it's a fascinating journey to try to watch. It's got to be such a difficult situation to be in, but at the same time, like you're putting on an NFL uniform every day. He's about to step on an NFL field on Thursday. So I was excited about it, but he understood the level of the difficulty of the task that he was trying to go through, and he's seeing it now.
Yeah, and I feel like right now the Tommy Mellott that I see is thinking a little bit, and that's totally understandable. And when you think at this level, rather than just react and play, you're gonna. I remember a general manager told me one time, the difference between a 4-4, let's say linebacker, right, a guy that is fast as the wind, all right, if he takes one step in the wrong direction at the start of a play, he's already negated his speed factor.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's got to make that up. Whereas a guy that might be a 4.7 guy, if he's consistently knowing, has a nose for the ball and is reading correctly and taking the right step at the right time, then he's made up the speed factor that he didn't have. So for Tommy, who can run like the wind, tremendous athlete. Right now, I feel like he's thinking a little bit too much, which is understandable, and that's kind of holding him back a little bit. I'm curious to see, and this is why, when it comes to cut down day and all those types of things that the organization is going to have to ask themselves, can you make a call in terms of making the team after a month of training camp, knowing that if you just stick with it, in 2 months, he might look completely different. It's just a hard decision to make because there's obviously some projection, and it's not there's no guarantee that it is gonna turn around. But just because he's not struggling, but just he's making that transition.
He's swimming
right
upstream, and I mean that's fair. That's not a criticism of him. It's not a knock on him.
It's expected.
It's to be expected.
Right.
But the calculation they have to make, which is always the calculation in the NFL, the Raiders, I'm going to say right now, would love to just take Tommy Mellott and put him on the practice squad. Easy decision, no problem.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Because is Tommy Mellott good enough right now to make this roster? I would say no. I think it's a pretty
Unless
fair
he
to
can
say no.
return kicks and punts.
I mean,
Because that's what
with
that
all the
role is
other-
going to.
sure.
That's. I mean, let's face it. Also, how much do you expect to see Tommy Mellott or let's say Alex Bachman as a regular player, barring an injury to?
right, it's gonna have to be on special teams, but
Yeah.
I guess the point I was getting to, and this is a decision I have to make all the
I
time.
agree with you.
Like, is he good enough right now to be on the team? I don't think so, but I think they do see the potential that he has. They do. That's the reason they drafted him. That's why they were intrigued by him. But you can't just put a player on the practice squad. I think a lot of people out there are like, oh, just put him on the
gotta
practice
put him
squad.
on waivers.
You'd have to put him on waivers, hope nobody signs him, and then bring him back and put him on the practice squad if nobody does. And that, I think, is the ideal situation for the Raiders. But you have to make those calculations with all guys, with all players. You can't just take a player. I think that's the part I'm explaining here is like you can't just take a player and put him on the practice squad. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Any other team in the league has a chance to take him.
Right now, here's the thing, and we're putting the cart ahead of the horse for 1 second because we will talk about the roster construction down the road. But you're saying can he help you win on offense right now?
No.
Okay, so could Alex Bachman or Philip Dorsett?
Alex Bachman he's had a really good camp.
Yeah.
And I think it surprised a lot of people.
Okay.
But he's had a really good camp.
Okay, so let's just say, for argument's sake, Alex is definitely ahead of Tommy Mellott.
Yeah.
Okay, so would Philip Dorsett.
Yeah,
all right?
no question.
The beauty of the practice squad is a guy like Alex Bachman and probably even Philip Dorsett, you probably can comfortably get him through waivers, get him on your practice squad. So if you're worried that Tommy Mellott's going to get picked up on waivers because some team says, hey, I love that guy coming out of college. And I had general managers texting me the day that they drafted him saying, I love that dude. He was my favorite player in this draft. So I think there is value, even to the point where teams might put him on, would have to put him on their 53-man roster. What I'm saying is, let's say you keep Tommy Mellott and he's helping you on special teams, but probably more often than not even dressing for the games, all right? And somebody were to get hurt. Okay, let's say Jacoby Myers goes down for a game, or let's say whoever, you can elevate an Alex Bachman or a Philip Dorsett to get you through those couple of games, and Tommy Mellott doesn't get affected at all. They play ahead of him because right now they're ahead of him. Right now, a month and a half down the line, maybe that changes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of course, and that's always the calculation you
Yeah.
have to make for sure. And I think you would get the sense of that as it's getting closer. Like also, what does he put on film in the preseason? I mean,
Right.
if
That's
if
the
all
other
of a sudden he goes out and has some splash plays, and the other teams say, yeah, this is what we saw in him. Now they're more likely to claim him.
I actually think there's a pretty decent chance of that
It's
happening.
certainly possible. It's also possible that he looks. Again, this is not a critique of him. It's just
Right.
it's possible he looks lost. It's very possible that he does. I don't think that's the case, but it's possible. And in that case, probably more likely. You also have to consider, man, there's so many transactional rabbit holes you can go down. But if he is put on waivers and nobody claims him, then he can come back to the practice squad. But he can also choose to go to another practice squad if he clears waivers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a team that he thought he fit better, the Raiders happen to draft him, and he's like, I'd rather go to this team. Like that's possible too.
He would get 31 other offers for practice squad.
Sure.
So I would think that, especially if you sit him down and talk to him and explain to him the situation, that he would get it and he would understand it. I mean, he has been. There's value in the months that he's been in.
course.
He's closer here than he would be elsewhere. But
Sure.
again, these are calculations that the Raiders are going to have to think about. But
I just want to say the reason that we have this discussion, I think, is for educational purposes. Of I think a lot of fans are just. I've heard people just say, "Put him on the practice squad." It's not that easy.
No.
And you have to make those calculations when it comes to the roster decisions.
To his point, I bring up as my evidence Thomas Harper and Jonah Laulu. Both guys were the teams that drafted them were trying to sneak them through waivers last year at the end of training camp when they cut them, and with the idea of bringing them back to their practice squad. Lo and behold, the Raiders picked up both guys, and in Jonah's case, he's been a very valuable piece.
Jonah has talked about this a lot, but he was cut by the Colts, and they told him, "Hey, we're bringing you back to the practice squad." He was on his way to the Colts facility the next day for practice with the Colts to be on the practice squad when he got the call that he had been claimed by the Raiders. So he's like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm going to Las Vegas now." So, and he actually talks, but he didn't even believe it. He was like, "Oh, that's my hometown. There's no way. That's crazy." But yeah, I mean that was their plan. They were trying to sneak him through. Didn't work, and that's the Raiders' gain. And that's every team in the league is going to be scouring the wire that day.
Exactly.
Is there a guy that we thought was good? Is there a guy that has some talent? And the Raiders had seen Jonah. I mean, the Raiders had seen Jonah at a tryout camp. They had seen him, and they knew, hey, he's a Vegas guy. They had seen him play. They liked him. And once he was cut, like, okay, let's put a claim in on him. And when you do that, you have to put him on a 53, and the Raiders did that, and the rest is history there.
And I can guarantee you right now, the Colts would love to have Jonah right now.
He's going to be a starter.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are the risks as Adam said, just put him on the practice squad. Not always as easy as that. And you don't want to be 2 years down the road and Tommy Mellott or whoever is blowing up, and you're like, we tried to sneak him through waivers. We just wanted to get him on the practice squad. Anyway, we're about 3 weeks away from having really serious conversations about that. But with them playing their first game, and you might as well throw Cam Miller into that equation as well. With them playing their first game, and we suspect they're going to get a lot of time, this could be an opportunity for them to really shine and make that decision even harder.
Yeah.
Anyway. Look, it's Monday. The Raiders practice again on Tuesday before a walkthrough on Wednesday before they head out to Seattle. We're going to do a podcast tomorrow after Tuesday's practice. We'll take the day off on Wednesday. We'll be back at it Thursday night after the game, 7 o'clock start Pacific time. So it'll be a late one, but thank you for your support. We see the numbers, and we're ecstatic that you guys have decided to be on this journey with us without question. I want to say thanks to Dom, our great producer, for doing all the great work that he does.
Should we also point out while we're doing this, we did do the All-Century team for the Raiders this morning.
Thank you.
That is up there. So make sure
the
Raiders all quarter-century.
Quarter-century team, yes.
Quarter-century team.
Quarter-century. So basically since 2000.
I definitely regret one of my picks.
Uh-oh.
And I will say that, I've heard back from a couple of people, and I think you're right. So go check it out. Tell us what you think about our selections to the quarter-century team, and let us know where we got it wrong.
And sometimes we get it wrong. Years ago, we did the all San Fernando Valley baseball team, which is a lot of great players, right? And we forgot to add Rick Dempsey, one of the great catchers, Crespi High School, and lo and behold, we put his son-in-law, who was also a catcher, on the team, and we got I got an email from Rick's sister, I think, and she said that it was the famous right family, wrong catcher. So I was like, touche, you got us. So yeah, we may have regret some decisions. We love your feedback. Go check out the story. It's the Raiders all quarter-century team. It's up at Vegas Nation. We're open for any suggestions, any criticism, whatever. That's what these types of stories are for. Everybody has their opinion. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back at it on Tuesday after practice tomorrow. Thank you so much.